Hello guys, my name is Sam Lang. Um, I want to first apologize for my dress. I am getting married on Friday this week, so I'm actually been out of the office this whole week preparing for my wedding. So this video is actually was going to be done at work, but it's being done in the comfort of my own home. So first I want to apologize for that. Um, I am the manager of what is called Ferris J. Radel Funeral Home and Crematory. We have two locations, one in Cincinnati and one in Newport, Kentucky. Um, The one in our Newport location is kind of more of your old-fashioned funeral home. We've been around for 107 years. Very old, well-known funeral home company. Um, our Cincinnati location was built in 1999. This is a very unique location, mostly being that it was built with the non-traditional funeral service in mind. Um, Ferris Radel, or Chip is what he goes by. When he designed this building, he designed it as a contemporary alternative to funeral service. A lot of feedback from the area, but it ended up being a $2 million building back in 1999. Kind of talk a little bit about the building. Over in Cincinnati, that's the one that I mostly focus at, and that's the one I manage. I manage both locations, but that's the one I'm mostly at. Um, it is got a atrium in the as soon as you walk in, with a big fountain, open ceiling, skylight, complete glass ceiling. Like I said, we want to make it feel more like you weren't walking into your traditional funeral home, but you want to come into a celebration of life. As that Chip was very ahead of his time and put in one of the first retorts in Cincinnati. We actually pride ourselves on being one of the only private crematories in Cincinnati. By that being said, there's multiple other crematories in Cincinnati. This is a high volume area serving as well as greater Cincinnati and northern Kentucky. By being private, our crematory, we only cremate our clients. Around here, a lot of the other crematories will allow other funeral homes to come in and do their cremations through their services. We do not. It's just strictly just for our funeral home. We are one of the only three funeral homes in this northern Kentucky region and Cincinnati all the way up to Michigan that has what's called a two-door chamber retort. What that's saying is we have access to both sides. Both sides have a door on them. One thing that Chip did is he wanted to really get in touch with the Hindu and Muslim community. Um, so our retort actually backs up to a granite wall where we cut out a slab of that granite where that door is. So you can actually come in, spend time with your loved one with a nice solid granite wall. This couch, this furniture, it's very homey feeling. Then when you're ready, you're able to place your loved one into the retort. And then we have the button there for the traditional closing and starting of the cremation retort at that time. That is kind of what makes us unique. As well as we have the very contemporary colors, not the old traditional funeral home that you're going to. I encourage you to go to our website, www.ferrisjradel.com. Check out the location. Our Facebook page has multiple pictures of the atrium if you'd like to see that. We set that up for reception hall. We cater to all of our families if you so desire. So kind of with us being the cremation specialist, I'm going to kind of go into my typical sales technique that I would use as far as talking about cremation jewelry and what we offer as a customized funeral service. We have multiple different urns in our showroom. As you can see, unfortunately I'm not in our showroom right now, so I can't show you them, but feel free to go to any of them. I'm sure most of you guys that are in funeral service have seen these. But one of our main urns is a sea salt urn. What this is an urn that's compressed natural salt. It comes in very different shades. You can never guarantee what urn you're going to get because of being all natural. What the neat thing about this sea salt urn is, and we actually do sell a lot of them, shockingly, not being around an ocean or anything, you wouldn't think we would, but we have a lot of people that go to Florida and want their ashes spread up at Lake Michigan. Just to name a few that I've had in the last month, actually. I've sold 5 of these urns. The sea salt urn is all natural. So, say you want to put mom, you were going to sprinkle her. Well, then you have to, and then kind of be messy. So, with the sea salt urn, it is all dissolving. So we would actually put the ashes in a biodegradable plastic bag inside of the urn, which is biodegradable. You'd be able to set the whole urn into the ocean or natural water, and over time, it takes 6 months for it to completely break down. Once it does, it completely will just dissolve everything, and it'll all be eco-friendly. Follows EPA guidelines. I still always encourage them to look at the EPA guidelines, or I will go on their behalf and look up, depending on where they're going, just to make sure that they are doing everything up to par, or legal is beagle, as I like to say. Another thing we have here is we only have one cemetery in the area that specializes in green burials. So I started working with that cemetery recently and got them to okay what we call an ecosphere urn. Something unique about our ecosphere urn is once we put the ashes in, we also put in seeds for a tree. And when we bury the ecosphere urn, it's compressed natural sand and dirt. With the seeds, we have found that it actually does start to grow a tree over time. It's something that Chip implemented multiple years ago, and there is actually a couple trees that he has buried his dogs in, had his dogs cremated, and put their ashes in this type of urn, and he has these in his backyard, which kind of sparked his idea for humans. We have sold multiple of these, especially now working with that cemetery, that we can bury these cremains there and allow that urn to take place. And then you have a tree to memorize your loved one by that you can still visit, put a plaque or something there for the grandkids, kind of to keep the story going. As well as we do a lot of keepsake urns. With us being a low-cost cremation alternative, don't get me wrong when I say we are cremation-oriented. We are looked at in Northern Kentucky and Greater Cincinnati as a cremation-dominated funeral home at our Cincinnati location. Our Newport location, we are very old, still traditional. We are in downtown Newport, and it is still very much a traditional funeral home. That's where most of our traditional funerals are. Very rarely will we have a traditional funeral service at a Cincinnati location, but we have multiple memorial services. With that, we don't call them memorial services. We call them celebrations of life. A couple examples of things that I've already done since I've been there. I've only been there going on 3.5, almost 4 months as the manager. But some items that we have done already. I had a couple that came in. They went to prearrange for their mom. Mom was only 65, but mom loved to fly kites, and we were doing an imminent death prearrangement. Mom was in hospice battling cancer, and they wanted to incorporate the kites. So, and I wasn't talking, the little kites you buy at Kroger's. These are the big Chinese kites and the box kites. So they brought in about 15 kites, and we hung them from the ceilings, the rafter, off the skylight, and the family came in for the memorial service, a gathering of friends, the celebration of life, and as soon as they stepped foot in the door, they started crying, just because that's what they wanted. They didn't want to remember mom is sick or anything. They want to remember the fun mom had. Mom loved her kites. So that's kind of how we do that. Another example was we had a gentleman who collected toy trucks, the old metal Tonka trucks. I don't know if any of you guys ever played with those as kids. That was kind of his specialty, the old metal trucks and toys. We had those come in, and we actually made a little scenery out of them that they was like digging and working, and the family loved that. We've had a gentleman who was a biker, brought his motorcycle in. We've had tractors parked in the front yard, front parking lot. those are just some ideas of how we customize to make it more of a celebration of the loved one's life, which is something that we pride and specialize ourselves on at Ferris J. Radel. As far as our urns and things, keepsakes are very popular for us. We sell multiple keepsakes to multiple families. Cincinnati, there is one of the most competitive markets in funeral service. NFDA actually has said that there's two tough markets. The hardest market to market in is San Francisco, California, followed by Philadelphia, and then the third hardest market is Cincinnati. Cincinnati alone has over, probably I would say 50 to 60 funeral homes. Greater Cincinnati, I can think of at least 20 off the top of my head that I compete with on a daily basis. From low-end funeral homes to cremation services at $4.95, all the way up to a funeral home that's cremation service. A direct cremation is $5,000, and that's what I compete with on a daily basis. And we're not the cheapest, we're not the most expensive. We're kind of right there. We're lower end, but I always pride myself saying that I cannot guarantee what you're going to get for that $4.95 or that $5,000. I can guarantee that you're going to get the best service possible for our price, and that we treat everyone like they're our own family, that we pride ourselves on that. Cremation, I know a lot of people think that it is a necessary evil. I don't think so. I think it's a great idea to memorialize your loved one. And everybody's like, oh, you can't make any money on it. Well, you can. You just gotta do it right. You gotta show the value of the memorial service, the celebration of life. But tell your families, put some type of catering in there. Tell them, we do this all the time. You don't have to clean up. We take care of make sure you guys are staffed with food, drinks, water, whatever you need. And then you guys just leave. You guys don't have to come to the house, all that stuff. We do all that here. And by doing all that, you can market your products. Sea salt urn. I mean, you can say, well, we want to scare your mom and dad. Well, why don't we do two urns, one for mom, one for dad? Then little Johnny had a dog too, or that was cremated, and they want to do that. By showing them those options, that builds the rapport, the trust, and in the long term, they're going to come back and they're going to keep adding more and more to your funeral service. So I encourage you guys to kind of open up. I was like many funeral directors. I was against cremation when I first started out. I came from a completely traditional funeral service, funeral home. I was in northern Kentucky, a Protestant funeral home, and our cremation rate was only 25%. So we would go traditional left and right. Here I'm at a funeral home. This whole month of August, I had all cremation. I didn't have one traditional, which thankfully I had some memorial services and things, but I mean, that was something new to me, not to have a month of a traditional service. So I encourage you guys to look at cremation and open up your eyes more to it. And I appreciate you guys listening to my video.